wanna miss this train. So Lord, we thank you anything. Get ready.
Good God afternoon, people of God. You have tuned into another episode of The Solutions. I'm your host, Minister Corey Wright. As always, we know what the problems are. We know we need to solve them. What I offer on this platform is solution. Dedicated acts of action that bring about true change, not just talk about change, and no excuses. Excuses are man's tools of incompetence that build bridges to nowhere and monuments of nothing. People of God, I am here with two of my greatest honors. I am here with the brilliant surgeon that performed the gastric sleeve surgery on me, and a brilliant dietitian, Jenna, Dr. Hassan, two of the greatest people in my life that helped this transformation. This is one of my greatest honors. This is one of my greatest and personal shows, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves. And people, if you ever thought about having a gastric sleeve, any gastric surgeries, you can call in and ask your questions. The number is 708-223-8953. Again, 708-223-8953. You can ask them any questions. They are super good at what they do. I am a living testimony. I went from 417 to where I am now. I went from rerun to Denzel. People of God, you're going to tune in. Let's start with ladies first. Let's start with the dietitian, Jenna. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, thanks for the introduction. That was very sweet. My name's Jenna, and I work at UI Health with Dr. Hassan. I've been there about 1.5 years, but I've worked in weight management for about 6 or 7 years now. I worked at another hospital doing weight loss surgery, counseling as far as dietitian goes for about 3 years, and then I worked in a couple medical weight management offices. And then, so I've been with UI Health for about 1.5 years now.
All right, Dr. Hassan.
Hi, Corey. Very nice to see you again, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. It's an honor to be a surgeon. Originally from India, where I qualified as a surgeon. Then I worked in England for many years before I moved to United States. And it's a big privilege to be part of the UIC healthcare team. We have a wonderful bariatric team. And glad to serve as many patients like you.
All right, I appreciate it. Now, how did you guys get started? What made you want to be a doctor? What made you say, I'm going to be a doctor? Was it your parents? What were some of your influences?
In my case, it's my mother. I never thought about becoming a doctor. I always thought about mechanical engineering and stuff like that. But my mom wanted to be a doctor all her life. So when I got selected into medicine, she told, there's no other choice. You are going to be a doctor. So that's the story behind me becoming a doctor.
What about you, Jenna? How did you get in this field?
Yeah, so, when I first started out in college, I was going for nursing. And one of the prerequisites courses that you had to go through was Nutrition 101. And so during that class, I was really interested. And one day they brought in a dietitian, and I honestly didn't even know dietitians existed at that point. I was a freshman in college. And I ended up making the switch at that point because I was just really into health, fitness, and it kind of suited me a little bit better.
Wow.
So let me finish my story here.
Go ahead.
So when I was a third-year medical student, I was still thinking whether to switch back to engineering, right? And I had the opportunity to do the surgical rotation, and I was mesmerized by that. That moment I decided, okay, this is what my rest of my life is going to be. If I'm going to be in medicine, I'm going to be a surgeon. So I thank my mom for the good decisions she made for me.
Now, how did you get into doing the bypass surgeries? I mean, I know it's so many different fields of surgery. Why that one?
You're asking all nice questions here. There's a story behind all these questions. So even though I'm qualified in different countries, here in the United States, just like a driving license, you need to do all over again. So I did 6 years of my training from scratch. So that was quite hard. In London, I was like a pediatric surgeon, but the fellowship is 3 years. And my mom was telling all my friends' kids are in medical school. I'm still at 40 years studying for exam when I'm going to settle down. So I went into minimally invasive surgery. I was interested in that without knowing much about bariatrics. Usually as a general surgeon, you don't get much to do bariatric patients, and we always send the bariatric patients to the bariatric centers. Like we don't want to deal with the bariatric patients as general surgeons. And when I was doing a fellowship, I really realized what amazing specialty that is, because number one, I had to give it to my patients. Most of my patients have the best sense of humor in the world.
We fat, that's why we had to be.
That's one. And what other surgery you can do, chance patients go off insulin the day after surgery, even before they lose 1 pound of their weight. That's like a magic. You went through that, you know that.
Right.
Yeah?
I was taking high blood pressure medicine, diabetes 2 medicine, had sleep apnea. I was telling them my people that follow me that I didn't sleep in the bed for almost 10 years until I came there. Oh, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, so that really made my interest in bariatrics. And this is one surgery. It's not like just you're fixing a hernia or a gallbladder problem. You're giving a new lease of life for patients who are motivated. So you give them the tool, and with dietitian, psychology, the whole team behind, we can help you to reach that goal.
I'm sorry, keep talking. I'm sorry. I got it. I'm sorry. People calling. They call the wrong phone. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So,
sorry, Facebook. Go ahead.
That's okay. So, with bariatric surgery, as complex as it is, the results are amazing for the patients who realize this is a very effective tool. Now, most of the patients don't just wake up and, okay, let me go and have a bariatric surgery to lose weight. It's not that easy. You know that.
Yeah.
So, all of them would have spent some 5 to 10 years, a lot of money spent on commercial diet, liquid-only diet, you name it. There's so much commercial products out there.
Right.
The problem today, Jenna could attest for that, it's not in losing weight. The moment you stop the diet, you gain all the weight back plus some more. So over the years, this yin-yang brings you more health issues, and you come to the point where either your life is going to be compromised from the quality of life issue, also your lifespan is compromised as well.
Right.
So bariatrics definitely helps.
Now we're going to get into the system, but I want to ask you guys, how did you guys get connected with UIC Health? You know, when did they say, okay, you know, when did you start with them guys? I know you started a year ago, but how did that come about?
I was going to say, we kind of started right around the same time, I think just a couple months apart. At the time, I was working at a medical weight management office, and I was fortunate enough to learn of the opportunity at UI Health, and I actually got hired into a different department. And the day I started, actually, the bariatric dietitian put in her 2-week notice. So I kind of was like, I'll take it.
Wow.
Because I had worked in the field for a few years in DC. And yeah, so that's how I ended up working for the department.
I think somehow someone gave you all the details of my past life to you.
No, because we're going to get into the process. But, you know, I want people to know you, because a lot of times we see the glory of people, but we don't know the story.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories there.
And you really care. You really care. You
Right.
wanted the doctor. You two care about your patients. You really care. So I want the people to know who you guys are.
Yeah, thank you. I thought I settled down in Cleveland. I was there for many
Cleveland
years.
as well.
Yes, I was in Cleveland. And we bought a house, and after almost 10 years of moving around between training and fellowship, finally we bought a house and threw away the IKEA furniture. My wife couldn't wait to get proper furniture, whatnot. And I did the first total robotic gastric bypass in Cleveland. I was in a small community hospital. So there was a robotic conference, and Professor Giulianati is the world's leading robotic surgeon, #1 in the world. He's like the Michael Jordan there, right?
Michael Jordan robotic surgery, okay.
So I was introduced to him by my robotic representative, and then he introduced Chandra, did the first case in Cleveland, so on, and we exchanged emails. 3 years later, I got an email from Professor Giulianati. He asked Chandra, where are you? What are you doing now? I have an opening. Do you want to come out to Chicago?
Wow. What did your wife say? Like, okay, we moved again.
No, my wife was not very happy in the beginning, but again, we have to. It's a wonderful opportunity, and opportunities like this come once in a lifetime. If I say no, I would never hear back from him.
Right.
And I could buy a house again. It's a brick and mortar, right?
Right.
And you can always buy material things, but as a career, as moving up to serve a bigger population in academic setting is a big honor, particularly being invited by a person like Professor Giulianotti. So that's how I ended up in Chicago and still living in an apartment.
All right. Now let me ask you guys a question. How does the job that you do is so rewarding? You know, when you see the success stories like, you know, myself, Hercules, how does that make you guys personally feel when you see people succeed? And then also, how does it make you feel when people don't, you know, they come right back to what it is? You know, I always want to know that.
It's a great experience to go through this with somebody. You know, we're just a small piece of a much bigger picture of our patients' lives. And, you know, as much as we are helping them, it's kind of like leading the horse to the water, right? Ultimately, the horse has to drink. So when we find our patients are super successful after surgery, you know, obviously we feel good like we did our job, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you. So
yes,
it's great to know that, you know, our patients have been so successful. For those who may struggle on the other side, you know, we're here to help. We're not here to judge. We're here to ultimately help them, bring them back to where they need to be to get back on track with weight loss or, you know, continuing the process. So we just try to be as open and encouraging as possible.
To be honest, this is not an easy job. Imagine if you're an orthopedic surgeon, you replace a joint, hip or knee, your patients come and see you, they're very happy. They're going back to golf course, they're playing again, they bring you chocolates and bouquet of flowers, and that's the end of the story, right?
Right.
Whereas bariatrics is for life. And most of the patients we see, they have some ongoing problem for the rest of their life. In the beginning, their problem adjusting to the new way of life. It's not easy to learn to eat and drink, which very basic in life. As an adult, you are trying to learn like a newborn baby to do that things that frustrates you.
Right.
You live through that, you know that.
Yes, I know. Right? I know, even a little bit.
Yeah, and today in the society, the environment is not changed, whereas your body and mind goes through so much change. For example, your family members and friends could support you, but they are going to eat everything like usual, whereas you are going to eat less than half a cup. And all the food is available around you. How are you going to resist that mental temptation? So we see patients who have not lost enough weight or started to gain weight earlier. And we being a tertiary referral center, we get other hospital complications too. When they can't fix it, they call UIC, and we are the largest program in Chicago that translates into biggest program in Illinois, state of Illinois too. So it's high pressure job, and patients like you, then we see, okay, it's worth it.
All right. Hey, I'm hoping to, I was telling Jenna when we first started, I hope to be the, you know, you guys will let me be the spokesperson for you guys, or for, you know, maybe UIC or for the hospital. I would love to do that. I want to tell a little story. You told me a story about you having a surgery. You probably do better than them. How does, you know, when you go for you guys' checkups, like when you go or you have to have surgery, being a great surgeon you are, and you're like, I know I could do better. How does that make you feel? Or when you go for a checkup and somebody say, well, Jenna, you can work on this a little bit more. And you're like, wait a minute, I teach people how to be, you know, is it true that doctors or healthcare worst doctors? Is that true?
That's very true. We are the worst patients as possible. I had my surgery, and then that 2 days later, I was doing a colon resection in the hospital. I can't
wow.
stay.
No time off.
He has some people, look, he had surgery 2 days later doing the surgery.
It's very difficult being a patient. And I'm not just here saying stuff to show off, but you develop a lifestyle, and sometimes I've been in work for more than 2 years without a day off, And then finally my wife said, look, I've been going with my kids all these vacations, and this time you're going to come. And we went to Cancun, of all the places, very nice, beautiful. Third day morning, I want to come back to work. I couldn't. But I'm much better now. So that happened like in 3 years ago. Since then, even this week I'm on vacation. Right?
Wow, me too. I'm on vacation as well. Now, what about you, Jenna? Is it hard for you to be a patient, being that you see so many people?
I mean, I think from my perspective, I've been fortunate enough to be healthy. So, I haven't kind of gone down that road quite yet. But yeah, I think sometimes you start to think twice about your blood work and think twice about some of the other things that they might be telling you.
People, we're going to get into the process. What are the qualifications to be considered for the gastric surgeries, because it's different kind of gastric surgery. First question I want to ask you is, what type of gastric surgeries are there? Because I know there's multiple, and can you explain a little bit? Then we'll talk about the process.
Surgery-wise, I would do only a few standard proven procedures like sleeve gastrectomy is number one. That's become the most common procedure in the United States since 2013. And other best procedure is Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. The third procedure, which is very effective in weight loss, but it's not very common, which is the duodenal switch biliopancreatic diversion. It's done less than 1% of the procedures in the country. Because even though the weight loss is very good with that, there's a lot of side effect and complications. But other procedures like lap band, I stopped doing it for over 4 years. And band has been a very popular procedure in Australia and across European countries. And band has been becoming very popular here in 2008 to 10 during that time. But since 2010, they approved sleeve gastrectomy as a primary procedure, meaning that's as good as the bypass. There's a story behind it. 500 pounds. We are trying to do a laparoscopic surgery, meaning keyhole operation. And once you're inside, you see this big liver, no way you could do this gastric bypass laparoscopically. So the option is either you convert to open surgery, it's like a foot-long incision. It has a lot of complications in the long term. So the benefits are staying laparoscopic. So they came up with the sleeve as a backup procedure, one of two procedures. So once you do a sleeve, patient do lose 100 pounds or so in a year, then we go back and switch that to a bypass. But Europeans have been doing this sleeve surgery for a while. Those data, when they compared, it was as good as the bypass. So in the United States, from January 1st, 2010, sleeve was approved as a primary procedure.
Oh.
Since then, the band business has gone down over 90%. I want your listeners to take home few points. One of the point would be choose your first surgery as the right procedure. A lot of commercial products are coming up, like balloons and bands, and there are even tubes they are placing in the stomach. You could eat all you want. An hour later, you go to the restroom and empty it out in the toilet. They're giving a valve so you can open it up and empty it. Exactly. So as a center, we see the long-term outcomes. So we are not part of those kinds of procedures. We do maintain the patients with band, but if any band complications, we recommend to switch to a sleeve. So I would say today, as of a permanent procedure that gives you a guaranteed result, provided you are committed to the lifestyle changes and behavior change, go with the gastric bypass or sleeve gastrectomy.
You want to add something to that, Jen? Okay, now what is the difference in what do you actually do with each surgery? From the bypass, what is actually happening? And from the sleeve, what do you actually? I had the sleeve, so what do you actually do?
So, what kind of surgery when you came to me? What did you ask me about? The banana stomach, right?
Right, the banana stomach, the stomach that like a banana.
Yes. So that's what people think about sleeve. So sleeve meaning this is a permanent operation. A lot of them think this is an easy procedure, but this is an irreversible procedure. We remove 80% of the stomach permanently out of the body. And that goes in the cookie jar to the pathologist. You can never get it back. That's a done deal. So this is a permanent procedure. On that aspect, this is a very radical surgery. Banana-shaped stomach, everybody gets the same size stomach. We create the stomach by placing a sizing tube inside the mouth that goes into the stomach, and then we sleeve through the stapler and remove the extra stomach. But the biggest benefit come from change than the new small stomach. So it's two parts. The new stomach capacity is 4 to 6 ounces. In the beginning, you can't even eat more than 2 or 3 bites. Right? And it's like a funnel, so you can't drink fast. It gets airlocked. You get pain in your chest, you throw up, so on. So it's a very long learning curve. But the metabolic thing is, chance, even if you are a diabetic patient on insulin, the day after surgery, we have done so many patients. We are a public research hospital. We do a lot of research on these patients. So the hormone that secretes from the part of the stomach I remove, it's called ghrelin, that increases our appetite. 80% of that is secreted in that part of the stomach that's removed. So the patients don't feel hungry at all. Tell me from your experience.
Right, I don't feel hungry, and I mean I could eat a carrot and I'm full. Yeah, so from the 80% of that's moved, that fluid that makes you hungry is gone.
Yeah, so the hunger hormone is removed from your body. So it doesn't happen to everybody. Mm-hmm. Some patients still feel hungry, but the important point to realize, healthy sign. People panic when they feel hungry because as a society, we are now eating for any number of reasons. We are not eating just because we are hungry. We are happy, we are sad, any reason, no reason, we are bored.
You're gonna eat.
It's available, right?
Right.
So suddenly when after surgery, when they feel hungry, they panic. They say, why am I feeling hungry? I say, that's a sign of health.
Right, that's good.
That's how hunter-gatherers, ancient times, they got up, they went and hunt and gathered because of the hunger.
Right? Absolutely.
I had one patient, actually. She walked in. I told you, patients are very funny patients, right? Good sense of humor, right? She told, she hunts in McDonald's and gather in Walmart. Go figure.
Now, with the gastric bypass, you're actually reconstructing the.
Yes. So in gastric bypass, nothing is removed. We create a small 2-ounce pouch, and then the rest of the stomach stays in the body, but the food can't reach it because it's completely separated from the pouch. We staple and separate it. And then we divide the small intestine and then reroute that. Almost 5 feet of the small intestine is connected to the pouch, and then the stomach juices and the biliary juice and pancreatic, all these enzymes go and mix. So you get 2 anastomosis. One is called gastrojejunostomy, other one is called jejunojejunostomy. So compare these two, Cleveland Clinic did a wonderful study. They chose 150 patients. 50 patients, all of these patients are uncontrolled diabetic patients. So 50 were medically managed, lifestyle health. Other 50 went to sleeve. Third arm was the bypass. So the long-term 5-year result, they found out if you are a diabetic, if it is less than 8 years, you have better chances of remission in the long time. So for your listeners who are listening, if you are a diabetic patient and you are diabetic for less than 8 years, and that is a major cutoff point.
Yes.
I'm not saying that you won't get good results if you have diabetes for 20 years. You do, but there's a significance in that 8-year cutoff from that study. So when patients don't lose enough weight with either operation, or they start to gain weight back, the diabetes could come back. That's why we never use the term cure. Diabetes is never cured, it gone in remission. So it could come back if you don't follow the new lifestyle. So the remission rate is much lower for gastric bypass patients compared to the sleep patients.
Okay. Now, before we go on, now, people, if you thought about going through UIC to have the any gastric surgery, Jenna is here. She has the information for the next information session.
Yes, I do.
If you want to give that to the people.
So if you're interested in attending one of our information sessions, we recommend to call our main call center, which is 312-996-5100 to get registered. The next one is going to be on June 21st, which is a Wednesday at 5:30. They run about an hour long, and it's located off of the main hospital lobby. To the left are 2 conference rooms, and we're in room 1135. You can also go to our website, which is bariatric.uihealth.care, to get a whole list of all of our support groups and information sessions, and also more information about the program in general.
All right, people of God, now we're going to go through the process. The first process is the information session. And what, because I remember going, there was a lot of people there, a lot of big people like myself was there. What happens at this informational session?
So usually when people come to the information session, the surgeons are going to be presenting about the different surgical procedures, the risks, the benefits. They usually show little video clips just so patients can get a sense of what it's going to be like. We typically will gather patient information at that time, and we also will have them schedule an initial evaluation to come into our clinic for their first visit.
They have to, in order for the insurance for their jobs to pay for it, you guys have to assess them to show that they're clinically obese. And how do you guys do that? Because I know my producer was answering that question earlier.
Yeah, so some of the requirements in order to have weight loss surgery is you have to have a body mass index of 40 or a body mass index of 35 plus 1 or 2 comorbidities. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah. So it's an insurance requirement with the health guidelines. That's an arbitrary number. There are patients who are even less obese, meaning the BMI may be 1, they have more metabolic problems. They would benefit from surgery. But as of today, we are not allowed to do surgery on those patients yet because the criteria is strictly BMI 35. The BMI is body mass index. That's a person's height-weight ratio. That's not a perfect score, but that is the best score available to apply at the national, international level. So I would encourage your listeners to go to your app store in your phone and punch in BMI, body mass index. And some of these apps give you the facility to track your weight for years to come. So you could look back and see, okay, how much I weighed 5 years ago, how much progress I have made. So when they come for the info session, would have done some research, right? They know somebody who had surgery at UIC or some other hospital. Their insurance might have directed them to us or any number of reasons. So the info session is basically to open up and give some information. So you could go to info session. There's so many hospitals in the city, right? And then you can choose whether you like the hospital and so on. So we collect your insurance information when you come for the info session. Then within 2 weeks, we contact your insurance to verify whether your insurance bariatric surgery. So most of these insurance do support, but some insurance have exclusion for bariatrics, meaning they might cover you for all other problems, but you go to them for bariatrics, they say no. These are all expensive procedures, right? So we don't want you to end up with a huge bill or make you go through this program for 5 months and then tell you, oh, sorry, your insurance don't cover. That's why we check everything up front, and by the time you come for a consultation, that part has been taken care. Then we talk about the medical part, and then Jenna comes in, we have psychologists, sleep study, and so on.
Now, my body mass was 55. You know what I'm. You know, how did you guys assess that? Me being had a body mass of 55 at what 5'10", so I was like 400 some pounds.
Yeah, you're quite tall, and the body mass index is about 30 plus is when the obesity begins. So the healthy normal weight is when your BMI 18.5 to 25. Okay, and when BMI 25 to 30, that's overweight. So 30 and above is obesity. So 2/3 of US population is either overweight or obese. That's 200
Wow.
million of us. The importance of that, imagine now you are started at BMI 55, you come down to BMI 35, right?
Right.
How you are doing at BMI 55? You are on multiple medications, so on. But when you're 35, you're a much healthier person, but people think you're sick. They think you lost too much weight too fast, you don't look good anymore. So when you leave the obesity group and you become overweight, let's say our goal for bariatric procedure is BMI about 27, 28 in the long term. We're not trying to make people too skinny. Even when they're BMI 33, people think they're too skinny because 100 million Americans are there. So when you're not obese anymore, they think you are not healthy. So that is the other paradox. When you are not healthy, people don't worry about you, right? When you are getting healthier, people genuinely worry about your health.
See, I was worried because I didn't want to get too skinny and my head big. I look like a taffy apple. I didn't want to do that. Okay, now, so they go through the information system, then consultation. Then we meet with Jenna, right? Or is it a procedure before that?
Yeah, so typically when patients come in for their very first
And you
visit,
are tough.
I am not tough. I am helpful.
It's a tough love.
A tough love, yeah. No, so they come in and they'll meet with the surgeon, and then they'll come and they'll sit in a brief nutrition class. Normally it's 20 or 30 minutes at that first visit. We just like to get across the sense of, number one, some of the behavioral changes associated specifically with weight loss surgery, because that's sometimes a little bit different than general weight management. We also like to get across the sense of what dietary changes, exercise changes that you can start implementing today to help you 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Because it's easy to lose weight in the beginning after weight loss surgery or undergoing a major operation. But like we had talked about earlier, it's always the maintaining that weight loss that becomes the challenge. And it's ultimately up to the patient, their diet, their exercise, their lifestyle, that's going to make them successful with the surgery long term. So from that first visit, we try to start establishing those patterns and those routines so that they are successful with surgery long term.
Everyone out there listening, the process from start to finish is almost 6 to 7 months. So you don't just go right into surgery. And you have to lose weight before they can perform the surgery, correct?
I mean, our goal is that patients lose about 10% of their body weight prior to surgery. And the other really big thing, not only is weight loss, is establishing the dietary and exercise behaviors, right? So, you know, sometimes people come in, they're skipping meals, maybe eating fast food a lot, drinking juice and sodas. You know, so from my perspective as a dietitian, if I can really help somebody get on track with eating consistently throughout the day, you know, they're making healthier food choices, limiting eating out and fried foods, maybe they get away from all sugary beverages, even including juice. So a lot of people think juice is a really healthy type of beverage, but it's actually not that good for you. You're better off sticking with water and any sort of 0-calorie type of beverage. But yeah, so establishing those routines along with losing a little bit of weight prior to surgery can help set somebody up for the long-term success.
Okay, now they do a lot of probing, like you have to go through, you know, they check your heart and they also put something down to check your throat. Things they check prior to surgery, and is what could prevent people from having surgery if they find something?
So every individual is, as you know, it's different. And based on their other medical story, if someone had a stroke or a heart attack or a blood clot in the legs or lungs, they're at higher risk. We get patients who are on dialysis, who are transplant, patients on heart failure, all kinds of other medical problems. So that's why the first consultation is very important. because once we go through your entire medical history, then based on that,
Keep talking. I'm sorry.
it's okay. So based on an individual's medical story, we have to choose the right choice of procedure.
Okay.
And let someone is healthy other than the weight issues, had a sleep apnea, backache, joint pain, then they don't need extensive workup. Whereas someone who had a couple of heart attacks, have sleep apnea, stuff like that, then you don't want a successful surgery with a patient in intensive care for a month. You want to get the patients home safe within a day or two. So that's why we risk stratification. We work up on the patient to make sure that the heart, the lungs, the system is suitable enough to withstand this operation. So that's why, based on an individual story, you might be seeing many doctors, or you might be just seeing Jenna, myself, and the psychologist. That's the other important thing. None of the patients in the United States today undergo bariatric surgery without psychologist approval.
Why is it important for patients to see the psychiatrist?
That's a very good question. A lot of patients say, "Doc, do I look like a cuckoo or
Right?
what?
Do I look crazy?"
Yeah, exactly. So
if I had that shirt on, then maybe I like look crazy. If my producer got on.
No, not at all. So the thing is about, I'm a surgeon, Jenna is a dietitian. We are all specialists in our own sphere of our specialty. And have anxiety, depression, which are very common, and they're on medications, that's fine. But this surgery needs a lifetime commitment, which I can't assess it. I'm not the psychologist. So that's the main reason to send patients to psychologists to see whether these patients are going through a process. These are major operations, right? And you don't do a life-changing operation on someone who can't handle the tool. So if they have other psychiatric issues that needs to be addressed first, and the patient has to be stabilized prior to surgery. So this is the reason we want a psychologist to be involved before as well as after.
Now, go ahead.
I can add something onto that too. I know a lot of our patients may struggle or may not even know they struggle with emotional eating. And like Dr. Hassan mentioned earlier too, we eat for everything. Emotions, we're happy, we're sad, we're angry, we're bored. And so a lot of the emotional eating, you might not be able to identify yourself, but we find oftentimes meeting with the psychologist, talking about people's backgrounds, their life stories, they help patients maybe open up their own eyes to, wow, I do actually, now that I think about it, maybe eat because I'm really stressed out or whatever it might be. And so definitely meeting with them before surgery helps the patient identify coping mechanisms and strategies to help combat that. Because, just because you have weight loss surgery doesn't mean you don't want to eat because you're stressed, right? We're not changing anything up here. We're just changing your stomach. So that's a really big piece. And speaking about seeing a psychologist after surgery too, a lot of patients don't realize is on the other side sometimes. They don't realize how much they may miss food, or maybe relationships are different, friendships are different because they used to go out to eat with certain people all the time and now they don't have that in common. So I think that's a big piece of having a psychologist on staff and on board to really help patients be successful with it long term.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Corey. When you came for the first time to see me in the clinic, did you believe you were ready for surgery?
And I knew I had to have it, but I don't know if I was ready, because you remember, I got assigned to a guy, the first doctor named
Genjanji.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try to say that name.
He's a good surgeon.
And he left, so that's how we became. And I wasn't ready, but going through the process and everything, I started to get ready.
But compared to the day before surgery, did you see the difference in whether you were fully prepared or not?
Well, yeah, you remember I had a panic attack. People, I said that on the show. I had a panic attack on the table. When he put me on the table, I was like, oh, see, it got real. And people, you ever had a surgery, once they put you on the table, you see Dr. Hassan standing there with the mask on his face, it got real. I'm like, oh, I changed. I said, I changed my mind. I'll be fat. Let me be fat. Let me go. Let me go. Now, I guess the anesthesiologist was already had the stuff in because Dr. Hassan said, well, 5 seconds. If you want to do it, then we'll do it. I laid back. I was out. I woke up and I felt like a brand new person when I woke. Because remember, I was up walking that night. I was up walking the floor like, wow, because you were saying, but I just knew. And then I know the person that was there waiting for me, you told me he had a fit. But I thank you for, and that's why I thank God for you guys, because I thank you for not letting me quit then. And I would have been like, I would have still been fat, probably wouldn't have been here. And I'm trying not to get emotional. I don't want to get emotional, but
no, please do.
No, I don't want to get emotional. I'm a fun guy, but I wanted to quit on the table, and Dr. Hassan wouldn't let me quit. He wouldn't let me quit. So I guess you signaled the anesthesiologist, or she knew to hit me or whatever. Hit him because because I'm like, whoa.
Wait. The thing is, the level of anxiety is normal. All of us go through that. When patients, we want surgery, everybody wants surgery, right? They come to the surgery and then they think like, what I'm going to do. This is like a Vegas wedding, right?
I don't know about a Vegas wedding.
So a lot of them do get cold feet in the last minute, but I never saw anyone except you on the operating table. Corey moved from the stretcher to the table. He lied down and then he panicked completely.
Right.
He just sat up and said, look, I want to go home. I don't want surgery. I want all the lights there. Everybody's, and we just had a good little chat with him and tried to take your fears off, answered, and then once he nodded, he started yes, and then we signaled to get the medications that could take away your anxiety. Then the rest is.
And it was it. And and I thought she was gonna give me a little bit before they rolled me back there, but she didn't. Because I remember she saying they might have to incubate me while I'm awake, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. When patients are much heavier and the neck is quite wide, the airway, they always assess the difficulty in intubation. And if you are quite high in the severity, then intubate when patient is still awake and breathing. We just numb the throat on the airway and then put the tube. Because in my life, I've seen one time during my training, physiologists, they lost the airway. So the patient is completely paralyzed, sedated, and then there's no airway. So you have to establish an airway. So we did an emergency tracheostomy and saved the patient. That's very rare.
Wow.
That's why, as a principle, I always stay by the bedside the moment the patient is in the operating room, because anesthesia sometimes take, even the best anesthesiology team, sometimes take 20-30 minutes to set up the whole thing. And intubation is a quick procedure, but the whole process takes 20-30 minutes. So it's a good deal for the team to be there as a whole to face any complications. So we were prepared for your awake intubation, but with the amount of anxiety, we just intubated you in the regular fashion.
Right. I'm glad you was able to do that. Now, robotic surgery. And maybe somebody might not understand that. You didn't have to all the way open me up. You made, 5 incisions? And the biggest one was bottom. That's to bring out the stomach. Tell us a little bit about that.
So usually laparoscopic surgery is done with the laparoscopic instruments. The most advanced of it is the robot. So the robot is something which is high end of the technology. That's where my mentor, Professor Julian Arti, is world's #1 surgeon. A lot of people don't realize that.
And it's robots, so you're not actually in there with your hands. You're
no.
on the robot.
So once we put all the ports inside your belly, we get the access into your belly. Usually you get 4 half a centimeter cut, and the biggest incision is less than an inch. So once we set up everything, we bring the robot and then attach the robot to your body. Takes over my place. And then I scrub out of the surgery. We go to the corner of the room. There is like a console, like a video game stuff. So I get the 3D dimensions. So the robot has a camera looking into your belly and all the instruments inside your belly. So whatever I do in a simulation, the robot just replicates it. So if I cut in that simulation there, the robot is cutting inside for real. So that's the robotic surgery.
So okay, wow, now that's deep. So if an emergency happens, then you have to go in yourself and do it, and move the robot out, or how that happen?
Any complication is a possibility, but so far so good, touch wood. Yeah. And we are planning each surgery with a backup. What happens? So we always give one assistant port. So in an emergency, let's say the biggest emergency that could happen is bleeding during the surgery. The spleen is so close. The liver is quite big. We lift the liver up with the retractor and we connect it to it's like the mic hole, the stuff holding the mic. So the liver retractor is held by a metal instrument that's screwed to the side of the bed, so that doesn't move. And if there's any bleed from the spleen and stuff, the assistant is still there standing by the bedside. So they could, with the robot, I could control it, and then I could scrub in and move the robot out and then control it. So it's all very safe procedure. It might sound like it's a video game, but it's not. These are very high-end technology.
And how long do normally the surgeries, a typical gastric sleeve surgery be?
Sleeve usually takes an average of an hour, I would say. Sometimes I've done in 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes up to 3 hours. If someone had a gastric band, the lap band, to removing the band and converting to a sleeve in a single step, that takes a lot. Because band surgery is easy. You can put a band in 20, 30 minutes. You can take out the band in the same time, 20, 30 minutes. But if you want another surgery, then to remove all the scar tissue between the stomach and the liver, and then all the attachments that's left behind from the band, and we also join the gastric pouch to the stomach. We need to take everything down. We don't want to fire a stapler through the scar tissue, which increases the chances of leak tenfold. If someone like you who never had a surgery, the leak rate is less than 3%. Whereas someone who had a band, I remove the band and do the sleeve, I can't just rush that like a 30 minutes or 1 hour surgery. That takes all the time to take care of all the scar tissue, control the bleeding. Then we perform the sleeve. Usually takes between 2 to 3 hours. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be very careful about choosing your first surgery. This is for life. You don't go into some temporary measures like a band. If it doesn't work, I can surgery later on. It's not that easy decision because everything has a consequence.
Now, do you guys, when you're at the hospital, do you ever come out into the break room and say, "Wow, there's a lot of overweight people here"? Do you ever? Wow, it's so many people that need our help.
I mean, like Dr. Hassan was saying, 2/3 of the population are now considered overweight or obese. And so, I think that, being on this radio show today, if we can help educate people and kind of give them options to improve their overall health, improve their quality of life, that's what we can do is try to get that information out there so people are educated and know that there are options available.
Yeah, I can ask you a question now. Let's say
I feel like you're the radio host.
Yes,
you're
right.
all the questions.
Yeah, I love Cody, so I feel like home, right? So let's see, the body mass index 40 and above, it's called morbid obesity, right?
Yes.
So what percentage of morbid obese population in the United States today undergo bariatric surgery? You want to take a guess?
Probably 60%.
A little bit less.
45%?
Go as low as possible.
15%?
1%.
For real?
That's real. So for every 1%, 9% of morbidly obese patients quietly suffering with all the other medical comorbidities. So the reason we came here is to create more awareness. And I see in the last 10 years, there is no stigma attached to obesity. People are becoming more sympathetic to that. And people are understanding this is not an individual fault. We have children who are 13-year-old patients, they're 300 pounds. That's not the child's fault. It's not their parents' fault either. It's the way we evolved as a society. It's beyond any individual's capacity to avoid becoming obese. So the lifestyle, the food processing, there's so many factors, right? So we can't do this alone. That's why we need the support of everybody involved. We need the support and the education from the government, from the grassroots organizations, from the schools, from your workplace. That's why when you imagine if any other specialty, let's say you provide a treatment for heart attack, just for 1% of those who have a heart attack, it wouldn't last in the bigger picture, right? So we need more patients to think about surgery. This is not the easy way out. This is the biggest commitment any human being can make in their lifetime. The reason I'm saying is, even though we are operating 1% of the morbid obese population, out of that 1% we operate, out of every 100 patients we do, 70 of them don't come for 1 year follow-up. That's across the United States. 70% of them don't come for doctor checkup at 1 year.
Wow, you know what? Not because I just had my year 1 year, and I was blessed to have you guys on the show. Let me ask: is there any risk to having this surgery? That you ever seen any fatalities happen because of this surgery or doing the surgery?
No. Surgery has become extremely safe. It's as safe as undergoing a hernia operation or a gallbladder surgery or appendix. Things have changed over the last 15 years. Even in the beginning of this century, when something is new, everybody wants a piece of that pie. So there are a lot of complications. A lot of patients put off the surgery because they knew somebody who had surgery and had complications didn't make it. But over time, we have very strict regulations. The American College of Surgeons and ASMBS, that's another governing body. They combined, they monitor every single bariatric center in the country. So not every general surgeon can do this surgery. You have to be certified either through a fellowship or by training to do this kind of operations. That's why even when we do these operations, we always tell them when you go home, if there's any problem, come back to us. It's not that we want the business part of it. We want to provide the right care. If you end up somewhere in a remote place, and if you really need a surgical intervention, most general surgeons will not be comfortable to do that. So with these strict guidelines, only certain hospitals can do. So it takes a lot from the hospital, the investment. You know how everything from the moment we enter into the emergency room or to the clinic, all the way to the operating room, we need the extra tools. And it's a sensitivity issue too. Like you asked whether we talk about so many big pay, we don't, because we educate every single new hire in the hospital. You may be a security, you may be working cafeteria, doesn't matter, you may be a professor. If you are hired in UIC, you will go through the computer training about the sensitivity towards bariatric patients, how to be sensible while you talk to them, how not to hurt their feelings. So the lot goes into it than just the mechanical surgery.
Now, let me ask you a question. I always want to ask the question. You being a dietitian, you being a doctor, how important is faith, spirituality, in the profession you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an individual type of thing as far as, if people are, have a lot of faith that they're, going to be incorporating in their journey. I think, personally, I go to church and I'm, definitely am involved. But I think for a lot of people, they rely on a lot of, going to church and their church community and faith when it comes to, weight loss, weight management, weight loss surgery, and even, after surgery too, the long haul journey afterwards, losing weight, maintaining weight. So I think it can be a very important piece to one's entire journey. Mm-hmm.
Personally, I do pray for all my patients. And the bottom line, I could cut and sew all I want, but it's the good Lord that heals.
All right. Now, there is somebody out there listening right now, that's really big, that's heavy, and saying, I thought about having the surgery. Why should I have the surgery? Why should I do this? Because I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I have the heart. What would you guys say as inspiration to them right now?
Advice would be to come in for an information session, come in for a consult. You're not signing up to have weight loss surgery right then and there. You can come in and get the information, meet with us. A lot of people, when they finally end up having weight loss surgery, they say, I've been thinking about doing this for 10 years. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. They're like, I wish I would have had this extra 10 years, with all this weight off of me. So the biggest thing is just coming in, getting educated, getting the information. And like we've been talking about, getting off all the medications, having a better quality of life, all of those things attached with weight loss is what people are going through this process for.
Yeah, you could say from your own experience.
Yes. You told me 6 months 6 weeks to get into the gym. You said hire a trainer. And even to today, I still work with 3 trainers. A lot of people feel like they can do it on their own. Why is it good to have a trainer instead of trying to lose weight on your own, even after the surgery?
To gain weight, your joints, your spine, everything has to be realigned as you're losing weight. Everything goes out in shape and form to support the heavier weight as you're becoming 300, 400 pounds. As you're losing weight, our goal is to not to hurt yourself. You may have problems in your mobility, your alignment, and it's a slow process to strengthen the muscles back. That's why when I see patients in the very first time, I tell them, join the gym. It's all about developing the lifestyle. You don't have to do anything in the gym. Just go there and watch TV half an hour, 3 times a week. So that becomes a lifestyle habit. So cut down the soda and pop, drink more water, right? Yeah. All those things. I understand the difficulty of life, the stress of life. I was a member of gym once. Almost a year later, I received a mail that we missed you a lot.
Okay.
Your subscription is up for renewal because it was on an auto pay. They have been taking money every month. I didn't go for 11 months, but I've been paying for my gym membership. Then I realized, so it's not that we are sitting here and preaching. I know how difficult the life is. I was a member of gym, which I paid for the whole year, didn't go for 11 months. If they didn't call me, I would still be paying without knowing I'm a member. Right? So it's very hard, it's very difficult. Life happens. Most of them doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs. We don't have time to look after ourselves. Others, we got up in the cycle, right? So everyone out there who are suffering, thinking about the surgery, this is your time, your turn to be the center of the universe. This is your chance to pamper yourself, to get healthier. This is not just losing weight. This is gaining years of your life back, gaining health back. It's no good ending up in a dialysis unit. There's no choice. You're going to be in a dialysis unit 3 times a week. Rather, I would keep my independence and be in a gym 3 times a week.
I was just going to add on to the exercise. So, a lot of our patients sometimes are actually intimidated to go to a gym because they don't feel comfortable. There's other avenues for exercise outside of the gym. A lot of our patients start walking or they do water aerobics at the park district. You can ultimately do things at home. And, a lot of our patients use YouTube as a reference. So if you go to youtube.com, you can pretty much type in whatever you want. walking at home, Zumba at home, stretching at home. For those who might not be able to walk far distance, you can look into seated or chair exercises at home. Maybe long-term goal might be to get into the gym, work with a trainer. But if you're, not feeling like you're quite there yet, I would still encourage you to get out and be doing something versus nothing, because even little bits will add up and count.
One thing the gym did for me, and a lot of people ask me about it, I want you to address it, is that people look at me and I don't have all that skin, because you're losing weight so rapidly. And because I worked out constantly, I didn't have all that surgery. But there are people that don't work out, that lose weight rapidly and have all that skin. How do you guys deal with that? And is there a surgery to remove that skin?
Yeah, usually we refer to the plastic surgeons when your body mass index is about 35 or so. They would not operate until the BMI comes about 30 or so. Now, you are a male patient who's different compared to someone like a female who had 2-3 babies. Their skin is very different. They could do all the exercise in the world, but still they are going to have some loose skin. So it totally depends on body type. So our goal is to minimize the amount of loose skin someone is going to have by end of 6 months or a year. Limit the amount of loose skin is start doing exercise from today.
Wow, and it's like, what is the worst case scenario you've seen where people were scared? I mean, it look like they got paper, like they're a skinny person engulfed in a big suit. I mean,
I had one patient, the belly we call the pannus, that was reaching almost above the ankle level. So this one patient we had
wow.
Yes, that's true. And we had to send this patient to the plastic surgeons first. We did all the scans and we removed most of that excess skin because we know that it's going to impair the patient's recovery and mobility. So we removed as much as possible, and then we did the surgery, and the patient 1.5 years later went for a second surgery.
Wow.
But for patients who are not that drastic, I would recommend not to go for any cosmetic procedure for a year or 1.5 years from the day of surgery, because usually it takes 1.5 years to reach the goal weight, which is the BMI 27, 28, and that's no good. You go spend some money or your insurance covers, you tighten up everything or remove all the loose skin, and then a year later you lose another 50 pounds, everything's loose. So wait it out. Don't rush into cosmetic procedure, at least for 18 months to 2 years, I would say.
Let me ask you guys a question. How would you guys deal with one of your family members coming through the program and you have to operate on one of your family members, or you have to be the dietitian for your sister or your brother? How would you guys deal with that?
I thought every single patient we have encountered, we treat them as family. So that's no different from that. So that's the bottom line. What I don't do on my sister or my mother or my brother or my father, he passed away, I love them all on my patients. So every single patient, you are not a number, you are not a sleeve patient, bypass patient. I understand there's a family behind you. You are a human being. You are a father, you're a mother, you're a wife, a spouse, your children. So home safe without a doubt. But there are complications. I've lost a patient a month out after surgery from a massive heart attack. That is something beyond our control. Sometimes patients develop blood clots and so on. In time, you can take care of it. But our goal is to get 100% of everybody home safe in a good health.
Jenna, how would you deal with being your family member's dietitian?
Well, I feel like I am my family member's dietitian, right? So, I mean, as much as my family comes to me with their questions, it's kind of a fine line as a dietitian, because you don't want people to be like, well, I can't eat in front of you because you're going to judge me from what I'm eating. And so, we're not, like I said before, I'm not here to judge somebody. At the end of the day, we're here to be that encouraging, supportive person in their lives, whether it's my family or my patients, it's the same. So.
Now, when you guys go on a date, are you married? Are you married?
Yeah.
You go with your husband, and you guys order something, and you just give them a look like, I wouldn't eat that, or that's not good. do people, especially knowing you're a doctor, you're a dietitian, do people feel uncomfortable? Yeah, I know some people eat, but do they try to eat less or try to eat healthier because they're around you guys?
I mean, I hope they try to eat healthier when they're around me. That would be, I'd be doing my job indirectly, I guess, that way. But no, one thing I always tease my husband about is eating slower. He eats so fast. And like with our weight loss surgery patients, I feel like I'm always preaching, like, slow down at meal times. You're going to accidentally overeat. You're going to eat, And so for him, I'm always like, slow down at meal times. And of course, he eats too much and then he feels so full. And so that's always something I'm getting after him about. But yeah.
Yeah, I have to confess, I eat all kinds of stuff.
No, not you.
No, in moderation, right? And I do go to McDonald's. I love the fries, but maybe once in 6 months, something like that. You drive past, you pick up one. That's okay. And I don't deny anything to the point I crave for it. So in moderation, like my wife, I hope she's not listening. She's a chocoholic. She's British, so we get FedEx chocolates every month from her parents and friends funny. And cousins. They send it here. She loves European chocolates. And I have 3 kids. All of them are chocoholics. So I tell them, if you guys don't stop eating that, I'm going to end up having heart attack sometime soon. Because my little one, always before going to bed, they come, bring some strawberries with chocolate pudding or some chocolates. I wouldn't be eating those things except if they're giving it to me, right? So I understand the life happens. Every family has its own dynamics, right? It's about the portion control. It's about how much you eat, how often you eat. If you want to take a bite of chocolate, go for it. But after surgery, if you eat, you might not even like it. You have noticed a change in your taste. It may be too sweet. The smell of it has changed, right? Yeah. But before surgery, most of the patients don't even eat the breakfast or lunch, right? They eat all the food they missed in the night, not just one portion. They keep on eating 2 servings. They never feel full. And then watching TV and eating more and more and more. And that's what gains all the extra calories, and the metabolism is ruined by that. Yeah.
I have a confession. Normally, I would stop and give me something to eat. Earl, no. But I said, since I got you guys in here, I definitely going to bring that to eat in here now, because y'all will be like, wow. My question is, what's your greatest accomplishment as a doctor? Or who's your greatest patient outside of me? What is your greatest testimony as being a doctor? What's your greatest testimony as being a dietitian?
Good question. Now I have to think about it.
We all remember many patients for life, for good reasons or bad reasons. We can't remove it from us. We take it to the grave, right? Because it affects you in so many ways. It's not just you operate, you move on, you forget about that patient. The most technically challenging one, it's not related to bariatrics. It was a newborn baby. I was in New York at the time, in Bronx. The child was born without the airway pipe completely formed. So it was half the way it got closed near the neck, and then the lower pipe and the upper pipe didn't join. And within 5 minutes, the patient was turning blue, and that was in a intensive care setting. It's not an operating room. So I had to establish a airway with just a 11 blade and the suture cutting removal. It's like whatever the tools that's available. And thank God I got it within like 30 seconds there, and the child turned pink. That's one thing I thank God to that.
Wow, you got a gift. I say it all the time on my CD. I got a CD or DVD for you. is you have to be born a surgeon. You have to have a gift from God to do that. Wow, Jenna.
Yeah, just thinking back, I remember one of my patients in Virginia, just thinking of great success stories. I remember she went through the process with me 6 months prior to surgery. And that's, maybe we can touch on that a little bit, like you had mentioned. A lot of times patients, based on insurance requirements, have to come and see a dietitian once a month for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So it's great when we have our 6-month patients, because it definitely helps me develop great relationships with them. So she ended up having surgery, was really successful with weight loss after surgery. I don't remember the exact amount she lost, but she really started to get into running. And so she ended up completing her first marathon.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I remember she came in after and she was wearing her medal, which we're like, what is that? And she's like, I told you guys I was going to do it. And, you know, we see a lot of people. And so it was just great to, you know, that she was able to complete that. Yeah.
Now, is it anybody you guys want to say hello to, like the medical staff at USC, to your family, to your husband? You guys have kids? You have kids?
Hello to all of our UI Health staff and partners.
Yeah, same. I have 3 kids. Yeah.
Okay. What are their names?
My daughter is first daughter is Abida. She's 12. My son is 8. He's Adil. My little one is Zainab. Today is her birthday. They're going to cut cake.
Happy birthday. My
Happy
is
birthday.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Tomorrow I'll be 44 years old. And thanks to you guys, I might see 45.
You'll see 85 plus. Whatever
Yeah.
good Lord has blessed you.
Yes, 85 plus. I don't talk about that 6 months, because I know a lot of people might be thinking about you're going to go right in there. The next week you're going to have surgery. 6 months for most insurances, or is it just a few people, you know, some insurances, because I know they can't just do it right away. And how much weight does the insurance companies normally want to see you lose prior to approving it?
So it just depends on the insurance company. So required visits, I should say, prior to surgery, like with the dietitian, could be anywhere from 1 to 6 months. Some insurances may require 10% of body weight loss prior to. Other insurance companies don't have specific target. I think a lot of people come in their first day thinking, you know, they're about to have surgery within a month. And so when we tell them, you know, it's going to be probably 6, 8, you know, maybe 9 months before your surgery, they start to get really discouraged. But usually by the end of the 6th month, when we say, okay, we're clearing you for surgery, we'll see you on this other, I normally say, I'll see you on the other side. And they're like, what? This is it? We're done? Huh? What? That's like reality check, like you had said. So, you know, it is a process, but understanding that all the work that you put in prior to surgery, how much that's going to help and benefit you after surgery is what's important. You know, a lot of people may come in and say, oh, well, I'm going to do that after surgery. I'm going to start exercising after surgery. I'll eat breakfast after surgery. Your life remains exactly the same. The only difference is you have weight loss surgery. So if it's a struggle for you to get into the gym or to eat breakfast or to do all these other things, it's still going to be a struggle for you after surgery. Surgery is not changing that, right? So going through the 6-month process or 3-month process or whatever it might be for somebody just really helps set them up for the long-term success.
In the recent past, Medicare used to demand 1 year of dietitian visit, 12 months. Consecutive months. If you miss one, you have to restart all over again. But now straight Medicare, just 1 month, you are good to go for surgery. The reason because of the such change, they realize the importance of bariatric surgery. Imagine the amount they are going to spend for someone who ends up in a dialysis unit for the rest of the life, or they're diabetic, they have a heart attack, stroke, multiple surgeries, right? So you provide them a surgery, you're giving them a new leash of life. So the 90% chance you could go off your insulin within 24 hours after surgery. If you follow everything to the book, I could guarantee by end of the year, most of my patients will be just on the multivitamins, all the blood pressure medications gone, sleep apnea machine gone. You could give your testimony on that.
Yes, I'm sleeping in bed, everything. Now, why is it important to lose weight for the liver reasons?
Yeah, even though they say that 10% excess body weight, let's say you're supposed to weigh 200 pounds, but you weigh 300, that excess body weight is 100. You need to lose 10% of it, meaning 10 pounds. That is a requirement to understand and prove you have made enough lifestyle changes, because in reality, losing a single pound takes a lot of effort. It's not easy at all. And even to maintain that 1 pound weight loss takes even more effort. So someone who don't change the lifestyle and they surgery to do the work, they are the ones who don't reach the goal weight. So the bottom line is, this is like a treadmill. We are going shopping to buy a new treadmill. How much you are going to use it, that's how much result you are going to see later on in the year. So our job is to get the tool and to prepare you to use the tool. And sometimes we come out successful, sometimes we are not. This is for life. So don't be disappointed if you didn't do well after one surgery. So when they come, we see a lot of patients who gained weight back or didn't lose enough weight. When they come back, we help them to go back on track. That's why support group is very important. Even if you are doing phenomenal like Corey, it's very important for you to stay in touch with the program, with the dietitian, with the psychologist, with the team. Come to the support group. Your personal testimony will help patients understand what you went through, right? We could give all day long lot of scientific data. Patients might not even absorb 5% of what we are telling them. But you come in and say, look, after 5 years, I'm tying my shoelace. That has a big impact on the patient's reality. That might help them to decide surgery than me giving all the kinds of scientific data out there. That's why staying in the support group, staying with the program helps you motivate to maintain your weight loss. And every single patient who has gone through it, whether they lost weight or not, I really take my hats off to you, because you are the kind of social change we need in the society. Because in the beginning, your family and friend might not even support you much. They might be wondering why you are not eating at all. You just eat 3 bites and you're done. And slowly when they see you are becoming healthier, you're happier, you're moving, you start to do the things that you miss doing in your life and the way of life, then they follow you through. And what better way to train the children to become healthier? If I could give you a statistics, I recently read less than 1% of teenagers eat the required amount of vegetables every day. Less than 1%.
Wow.
Yeah, less than 10% of adults, we consume the required amount of vegetables every day. Meanwhile, we waste so much of vegetables as a whole world. If you go to a supermarket, you see all the products, fruits and vegetables, they all look alike, right?
Right.
We waste food because the food doesn't look good. It may be a really healthy food.
Right.
If the fruit doesn't conform to the shape or it looks a little bit off, selling them. So we are wasting food. So if you have a 20 cubic container and fill it with the amount of food we waste every year, if you pile it up, it goes all the way from Earth to Moon. That amount of vegetables and fruits we are wasting in the world today. That's every year we are wasting that much fruits and vegetables, while we are not consuming fruits and vegetables, which is the secret for our better life.
Well, you guys got me. You got the support of the Solutions Radio Show. I'll definitely come to the support group. And I hope to work with you guys, definitely be a spokesperson. Jenna was telling me about you guys putting together a 5K walk.
Yeah, so we're in the process of figuring out when the date is going to be, hopefully sometime this fall. So when we do have that information, I'll definitely forward it on to you, so maybe you can tell your listeners about it. And obviously, we'd love for you to be there, so maybe we can kind of work something out to where you can maybe be our MC or something there.
Yes,
I love that.
Sound good. And I just want to say, I was telling Jenna when I first had you guys, I said, well, we're going to do, normally we do an hour show, but we'll do a little bit longer. And she said, I don't know if we're going to stay longer. If you look, we already at an hour and a half. See, time
there you go.
By.
Yeah, I want to just say one more point, and this is food addiction.
Okay.
So you can't do it alone. If someone is addicted to drugs or alcohol or smoking, how difficult it is to get rid of those habits. So you can't do it alone. This is a food addiction. The reason I'm saying it, even after surgery, successfully losing so much weight, there are very good examples out there where people switch their addiction to gambling, smoking, alcohol, drugs, any kind of, because they miss the food. I had patients who come and cry to me like they lost a family member because they are excellent cooks. The food has been there in thick and thin to help them through hard times. Now the comfort of food is gone, they go into depression. They don't know who to approach to fill that void. So food serves a big purpose in life.
So food can be an addiction?
It is a food addiction, yes.
Wow.
There's a good documentary out there if anyone's interested. It's called Fed Up, and it's basically about the sugar industry and how people are addicted or can get addicted to sugar. And so it goes behind the science of it too, but it's just interesting to see. I think it's like 80 or 90% of the food on the inner circle of the supermarket. So like the outside circle or perimeter of the supermarket is always your fresh produce, your fruits and vegetables, your lean proteins, your dairy. The inside is all the prepackaged stuff, right? So it talks about how all of those prepackaged goods, about 80 or 90% of them have some sort of added sugar to it. So the more you eat it, the more you want it. So there is that addictive property there.
So Jenna, let me ask you a question. What is the myth behind organic? Is organic really the new healthy food, or is organic overrated?
I don't think organic's overrated. I think just speaking from a cost perspective, sometimes it can be a little bit more costly going organic. So at the end of the day, getting, your fresh fruits and vegetables, if you can't always afford organic, you're just still get it. But if you do have that ability to do so, it's definitely going to be less processed, less preservatives. It's going to be overall better for you. So I would say it's not overrated.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, have your own vegetable patch and even some tomatoes, whatever you could grow, and expose the children to adapt that plant and then nurture them and then enjoy the fruits that comes out of it. The good shopping in local produce, local farms without too much chemicals and so on, and even big chain supermarkets are nowadays realizing the importance of having healthy food, and they advertising they shop from local produce without any chemicals and so on, antibiotics and so on. The thing is nobody to blame. That's how we evolved as human beings, right? It's no finger pointing anybody, because we have to feed 7 billion people on earth, and that is a big commitment for those who are in power and responsibility to do that, to achieve by any means. But when you realize there are some side effects out of it, it's time to, and not to continue finding a quick fix for the problem, because at this rate, how much money we are going to lose by not being productive to the society when you are not healthy. Then you need someone to take care of you, your family member, your hospital, your society. If a big part of the society is becoming ill, having more medical issues, then there's no magic bullet to that. We need to go back to the basics. Take a look at the old album, look at your grandparents' picture. If they were big, then maybe you have a good genetic reason, right? But genetics plays a role. Socioeconomic factors play a role. Food plays a role. Our habits change, play a role. Our stress level. So it's not one thing you could point and correct it. It's like the African proverb. It takes a village to grow a child, right?
Right.
And we need the whole country to grow healthy children now. There's no other alternative here.
Now, what about meats? Is it certain meats that is not good, should not be eaten, period?
So, I mean, there's not anything that you can never eat, but at the end of the day, your chicken, turkey, fish are going to be your leaner protein sources. Beef and pork are going to carry more fat calories. So you'd want to limit that, if you're going to have any sort of red meat, maybe once a week or once every other week, and then try to focus more on those leaner protein sources. I would say an exception to the rule would be pork tenderloin. That's pretty much just as lean as chicken. So if you're kind of getting chickened out, you can always do a little bit of pork tenderloin. So yeah, I would say focusing on those leaner sources.
And is it a way that you cook it like fried? We know Dr. Hassan don't like fried foods, no fried foods. Is it a better way to cook it?
Yeah, I mean, adding or frying foods could add a couple hundred calories to that meal. I mean, I just had actually a post-op patient who had surgery. I think it was only like 3 or 4 months ago come in. She wasn't really losing weight, based on her diet recalls. She was eating pretty well. And then I kind of started asking her a few more questions and realized that the chicken that she was mentioning was fried. And she was oftentimes getting it from Chick-fil-A. And so obviously a lot of these fast food restaurants, you can go on their website and see how many calories are in some of their items. Well, she was getting this 4 little chicken tender, not meal, just the actual 4 chicken tenders. Anyway, it was like 500 calories for something like that. So if you were to grill up 4 chicken tenders on your grill, it's only going to be a couple hundred calories. So you're saving yourself a lot of calories by not frying. So trying to grill, bake, broil as much as possible and limiting any fried food would be best.
So the healthy diet is 200 calories a day, correct?
No, 200?
I mean, 2,000 calories a day, right?
Well, it just
Less than
depends. So, if somebody's trying to lose weight, just general recommendations, females around 12 to 1,500, males 15 to 1,800 calories a day. For our patients who have weight loss surgery in the beginning, they may only be getting in like 600 to maybe 800 calories a day. Long term, maybe around 1,200. But for general weight loss recommendations, if anybody's listening out there interested in losing weight, maybe not qualified for weight loss surgery or interested in that, I would say females around 12 to 1,500 calories, males around 15 to 1,800 calories.
Okay. Now, and this I'm gonna ask you one of the questions that I always want to know. A lot of the people are putting putting the health nutrition facts on products, even in McDonald's, a lot of restaurants. Does that help people with counting calories or carbs? What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great that the calorie information is now available. I mean, I know when you even go to Panera, when you're looking at the menu up on the board, there's already the calories already listed there for you. So it's helping consumers make better educated educated decisions, I should say, with what they're about to be purchasing. And I think the nutrition label on products as well may be revamped soon too, to be more user friendly, because sometimes it can be confusing to be looking at different products. But be careful about prepackaged items. Again, try to shop the perimeter of the store as much as possible and just kind of get what you absolutely need on the inside of the store, because again, a lot of the stuff have way too much sodium, a lot of preservatives, way processed, added sugar, things that can sometimes form that addictive kind of thing, and also going to be things that could potentially lead to weight gain.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys, and what the people that's listening, can you give a last analogy on why people should have the surgery? Because we're going to close the show soon, and each one of you guys, you can go.
Yeah, my request is if your body mass index is increasing, your health is slowly getting compromised, don't wait too long. Earlier this year, I had a patient who weighed 711 pounds.
711 pounds?
Yes. So imagine he's doing fantastic. Even if he loses 400 pounds, he's going to still weigh 300 pounds, right? So if that person or anybody else seek the surgical intervention earlier, so that just like you, when your BMI is 50, 55, that's what we used to see 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Now I'm seeing patients with a body mass index of 80, 90, 105. It's going up and up and up. So if you're 40 BMI, you lose 10 or 12 BMI points, you are reaching better health. When you are 80 BMI, even if after you lose 40 BMI points, you're still morbidly obese, you'd still qualify for surgery, you get the burnout. So talk to your doctors whether surgery is a good option, and engage your family, your friends. Most of the people in the society now know someone who had this kind of operations. Even if they had bad outcomes, it's not bad. It's time to get back on the track and get them towards a good outcome. So there's nothing like bad outcome there. It's not a final result. It's not a game, right? This is a life. So if you're not happy with your outcomes, still you have the rest of your life to fix the problem. So don't give up. please, I always tell the patients, if you're doing well and you don't come and see me, I'm okay with that. But if you're not doing well and you're not coming and seeing me, that is a failure.
All right.
And I just want to piggyback that and just say, if you're even slightly considering it, or you've been maybe thinking about it a while listening to your show, you can always come into one of our information sessions. We also have support groups. Both of these are free and open to anybody. So our information sessions, again, are about the surgical options. We also have our support groups, which have patients who have already been through the surgery. So you can hear their stories, what they went through. And again, I just want to give out that phone number.
Go ahead.
So the phone number would be 312-996-5100. You can call to either sign up to attend one of our information sessions or call to schedule an initial consult. We're here to help. We're here to educate. If you come in for that first visit, you decide it's not for you, you're not losing anything. You can only be gaining by coming in and seeing us.
All right. Give our special guest a hand, people of God. Thank you for tuning in to today. Again, you have to get up and be your own rescue. No excuses. Also, you can follow me on Facebook. Follow me, Minister Corey Wright, on Twitter. Corey Joseph Wright on Instagram. Wait a minute. One of the Instagram, Minister Corey Wright, and on Twitter, Corey Joseph Wright. Also on Facebook. We also, people of God, we're looking for sponsors. You can contact me, inbox your information. Also have a GoFundMe page set up on my page. If you want to donate to this vital voice to and for the community, please donate. Also, who all donate get free CDs of my CD, I Check Myself, It's Your Turn. Tomorrow I have Pastor Angela Johnson. It is my birthday, people. I am 44. Thank God. I am truly honored to have my special guest, Dr. Hassan, dietitian Jenna. Amazing interview, amazing show. I thank God that I'm here, and because of them, because of God first. But I thank God for using them, and it's the greatest honor I've had, and two of the greatest guests I've had on my show. And I'm gonna be working with them. They're gonna work with me. People of God, I see you tomorrow. Peace. Remember, God loves you. We love you. Peace.
Is the key. Open the doors and for them there's room.